Hello everyone, and in this video I'm going to be talking about why did I go to medical school. And for people who've been following me for a little bit, you know that I am an engineer. I graduated college as an engineer, and I've been doing work in software and biotech companies. So it's kind of a bit of a change to really go from biotech engineering to medicine. And this is a tough question for me to answer, and I put a lot of thought into it. Sometimes my answer changes over time too, and I do ask why a lot. And so for me, my main reason right now as to why I'm in medical school is that I want to help figure out how we can improve people's health outcomes. And maybe that's a very fancy way of saying the same thing that I think a lot of people say, which is like, I want to help people. And, the thing is, like, you can ask the question, why, if you want to help people, do you have to go to medicine? Because you honestly don't have to be a doctor to help somebody. We're helped every day by people who aren't doctors. We're helped by teachers. We're helped by police officers and firefighters and tons of other professions, like the garbage man who picks up your trash, the people who keep the lights on. There's so many people out there who help other people. So why medicine? Why specifically healthcare is, my specific field for what I want to do to help people. And that's the reason why, I struggle to answer this question a lot. And frankly, going to medical school was I'm taking a huge leap of faith coming here, because to be frank, I'm never 100% confident in anything. And I'll be the first to admit that I'm wrong and I make mistakes, and I've made mistakes in the past, and I think the best thing you can do is to just admit that you've made mistakes and to make sure that you've learned something. And, one thing my dad would always tell me is that if you didn't make any mistakes, you didn't learn anything. So, it's the thing with med school, if you are one of those people who is considering it, is that it's not a little mistake to make, because it's a huge commitment to just get here. Just to even be admitted in a class in America requires basically a whole year of applications, of interviews, of testing, of application fees and flying and hotels and all this other stuff. So it is not something you would just casually decide to try out. This is something where you're not here by mistake. You are here because you wanted to be here. You're a competitive person, and you think that you would be a great doctor, or you think that you can be a doctor, and you want to serve your community as one. And so the question kind of comes back to me again as to, why do you think you would be a great doctor for your community? And I don't consider myself a vain person. I don't want to come off as vain. And I think kind of the main thing, what I'm trying to get at too, in terms of I want to help improve people's health outcomes, is this notion that health is an extremely complex thing. And I can talk a lot about this stuff because I think about it all the time, and this is just my personal thoughts, but it's health is defined at an individual personal level. And when someone comes to seek healthcare, they're wanting help because they don't feel healthy. They don't feel like they're able to get out of their life what they want to get out of their life. And so I think the role of a doctor, and I think the role of healthcare professionals, is to help people live the life that they want to live. To put this into a little story, it's what's the purpose of medicine? So let's say you are a baseball player, or you're a pitcher, and you throw balls all the time, and you break your shoulder, or you break your elbow, and your hand, you can't throw the baseballs anymore, and you want to be able to do that because that's what gives you joy out of life. That's what gives you meaning and purpose, to be able to play baseball with your kid. And so the role of healthcare in that situation is to basically help people heal so that they can continue to do stuff that they want to do with their life. And I kind of try to take that story and abstract away from it to be how are we going to apply this to other situations? Someone comes into a medical office wanting help because they've got high blood pressure. And traditionally, medicine is great at figuring out, here's this pill that we've shown is able to lower your blood pressure. And so doctors prescribe this pill to people, and they say, congratulations, you no longer have high blood pressure. We're keeping it within range, and just continue to monitor it. And there you go. And my issue with this is that it's very numbing and institutionalized, and it's almost kind of like industrial in that it's like, my health is basically nothing more than a blood pressure to medicine. Because to give more personal background on myself, my dad was a primary care doctor. He ran his own practice from 2005 until he died in 2018. And so what I really took away from my dad is that health is so much more than just numbers. And there's people behind all of this stuff that meant a lot to him and mean a lot to me. And so just because we're able to make sure that your BMI is within a specific range, or we're able to make sure that your blood pressure is healthy, doesn't really mean that you're healthy. There's a lot more to health than just some lab result numbers. And so for me, it's something that I think a lot about. And I think it's very interesting stuff to try to figure out, granted, we will never be able to measure everything, and we will never be able to be perfect. But at the same time, that shouldn't mean we shouldn't try to figure out new ways that we can define, measure, and try to improve these health outcomes. And so, like, when you look at an individual or a family or a community or a country level or getting to global populations, like, how do we begin to quantify and measure and improve health? And so I think a lot of this sounds like Masters in Public Health should be the path that I take. But the other thing here is that I feel like getting that medical education, going through a whole med school thing for 4 years and then residency, if we do that, is going to help expose me and help me understand a lot more of health than I would otherwise at the individual level, which I think begins to rise up and allude to the definitions of health at the higher levels too. But basically, my goal here of being in medical school right now is to help figure out how we can define health and how can we improve other people's health. That, to me, these are interesting questions that I feel like my background in engineering and in software and tech are things that can help me contribute to this field, because I think health is so complex that we need variety in the methods we use to define, measure, and improve health. And I think that I can help in this effort. And so that is my goal for being here right now. I know it's an enormous amount of work. I know that I'm definitely not a traditional student in the sense that I didn't major in biology or chemistry or, some pre-med curriculum. I'm coming out of this as an engineer, and I am very interested to learn more about these areas that I wasn't exposed to as an undergrad. And so I don't want to be too long-winded with this one, but in terms of, what is my reasoning right now for this? That's it. And I will say, I've already, after my first week, have had some great conversations with some of the faculty at the school. And I've talked to them about, why am I here personally, and what do I hope to get out of this, and, how do I think I can contribute and help you? And I'm already learning a lot in that when you look at this from an epidemiological perspective of, okay, you want to improve how we measure health outcomes, or you want to improve health outcomes, like, how are you going to do this? And it's not enough to have anecdotes or thousands of anecdotes to go to somebody and to say, look at how many times we failed, and, here's how we can do better. There's so much more to how you can, or how you need to present yourself and present data that is actually persuasive to types of audiences that you're going to be working with as a healthcare professional, because it's not just enough to say we messed up. You need to also be able to show how you messing up led to a worser health outcome down the road. And these require things like longitudinal studies where we're measuring things that happen to these patients years away from when that event happened that you're claiming impacted their health outcome. Because it's very, very difficult for us to definitively say, if a doctor at one point in time said you needed an MRI, for instance, and the fact that you did or did not get that MRI impacted your health outcome, is something that you can't just assert. You need to have a lot of data and a lot of effort put into how you're presenting this and looking at it and make sure you're controlling confounding variables, because there is a lot of science in health and medicine, and people will rip apart your assertions and your arguments if you're not ready to defend yourself. So that's something that I'm already having to familiarize myself with and learn. And I'm not, I'm not aware of any of this stuff. So basically, it's new to me. I'm learning stuff. That's a huge reason why I feel like it's good that I'm here right now, is that I'm getting new perspectives in how do you actually create change in these fields. And to think that you're going to jump in with, your background, which is different from most people's, and you're just going to start changing everything is wrong. You need to understand your audience. You need to understand how things work currently before you can try to fix something. You need to understand what work is already being done to try to fix that thing too, so you can collaborate with the people who are trying to do it. So there's a lot more to it than just thinking that you're going to jump into a situation and everything's going to be different and they're going to listen to you. It's like, no, this stuff takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of effort to even speak persuasively and speak in a way that people will listen to you. And so it's a huge amount of time and effort and practice required to take it to that next level that I want to get to in terms of my career and what I do with my life and how I help improve people's health outcomes and how we measure health outcomes in the first place. So there's a lot of stuff to come, and it is definitely a little bit intimidating. The course loads are going to be really high. I have a little bit of a break right now because we literally just finished orientation, so I don't know how intense things are going to get once we're in medical school proper and we're getting tested all the time. But I just wanted to give you all my thoughts on why am I here and what do I hope to get out of this. And a lot of this kind of trickles back to that application process and the essays, in which you're really answering two questions. Why do you want to do this? And why are you going to be great at this? And if you can answer those two questions about any field, no matter what field you're going into, you're going to have a strong application, and it's going to come through because it should be coming from what you want inside. And so I'm going to wrap things up there. Thank you all for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll talk to you all next time.